Economically, I understand little about economy. I'm a little bit like George Bush, who understood probably even less than me. But I spontaneously tend to agree with what you said, that one, and even some serious, if we may use this term, bourgeois economists agreed with this, that one of the means to resolve this problem means a measure which would have been pretty just, because it would hit mostly the rich, is simply something like 25% devaluation and so on and so on. I would like Europe to do this. To Europe to drop this fear of, to drop this fear, and I think it would even have been easier to do it with Europe, because with national money, when you devaluate, it's always the shitty topic of national pride.
But what is the obstacle to that? The obstacle to that is that the European Constitution and Union has been built in order to give the exclusive power to oligopoly capital. Exclusive power. And therefore,
you know very well that this power is very
which means that there is an opportunity for the European people to build an alternative historical bloc, anti-plutocratic, if we call it so. I don't like the word because it was used by the fascists in a demagogic way, but anti-oligopolies.
Okay.
There is and that would bring the European nations together. I mean, what is happening in Latin America is they are trying to build, they are advancing slowly, but they are advancing in the good direction. But this is not a copy of the European Union. They are doing exactly the opposite. That is, they are doing exactly the opposite, maintaining the autonomy of the nations of Latin America, but with more cooperation and support between themselves. They are not diluting the nation into a pseudo united market, which means that you abrogate the national sovereignty to the benefit exclusively of oligopoly capital.
Let me just say, take up that question of what is the contrast with Latin America and what Chavez's project, along with Ecuador and Bolivia and Cuba, is. That unity that's being built is not a unity based on capitalist principles. It's a unity which is attempting to be built on the concept of solidarity. So this is an alternative that's being presented. Not, and in Latin America there are two projects of unity. There's the Mercosur, the common market of Latin America, versus the ALBA project. The ALBA project is one based on building new relations of solidarity between countries. And that is the appealing, that option is what is not being presented in Europe.
Here we are maybe approaching the crux of the problem. My immediate reaction as a hardline Marxist would be that, did you notice how to characterize Europe and Latin America, you used categories from totally different level. Europe, you said big capital or whatever. Latin America, you said solidarity. Solidarity means for me nothing abstractly. I would like to see precise power relations and so on and so on. I claim that, I'm sorry to tell you, but Europe, Western Europe, measured by the recent worldwide decay in social solidarity, show me one part of the world where so much of welfare state is nonetheless still part of the political process. I mean, my great enemy, personal friend, Peter Sloterdijk, even speaks about European, ironically with reference to Marxism, objective social democracy. He claims that some kind of social democratic idea that it's also the duty of the state to take care of the basic needs, etc., it's being corroded now, I know, but it's nonetheless still, to such an extent, part of, it may be wrong ideology, European consciousness. So I say, show me one part of the world.
For the moment, it's here.
No, look, Žižek, yes. I agree with you. I put as a part of the global, of these good response to the previous long crisis, European social democracy. I mean, the three systems of after World War II, real social democracy in the West, the so-called really existing socialism, and the Bandung national popular, not populist regimes have achieved and reached their limits and so on. But it is precisely that is what is being dismantled presently. The attack of capital is to dismantle in Europe. The Social Democrats are no more Social Democrats, they are Social Liberals. And what is on the agenda for Croatia? It's suppressing public schools and having privatization of education and health. This is what is on the agenda, not solidarity, not international solidarity.
I agree with all this, my God. I think that precisely, but you know what's my counter-argument? That the way I see...
So if you... Let me finish.
Sorry,
No, just one sentence. If your strategy is defensive, exclusively defensive, that is, we'll try to maintain as much as we can from what was good that we had, you will have small results. You have to go on the offensive.
But I agree, I was talking about this yesterday, and my reproach to Greece and other threatened nations is that and I try to read as much as possible, not the big media, but what they are saying is that ultimately it's defensive. You will not take from us our rights. There is no vision. They are all defensive. And second thing, you know where we maybe disagree? I agree with you, my God, I'm here a pessimist. But what I am saying is that, I repeat it, since international capital is a fact, where if the only movement is more autonomous nation states, you open up, for me, an incredible space for international capital to play one state against the other. Opposition should be, in some level, maybe not European Union, should be transnational. I don't have this fascination that you have with autonomous state power.
We need a fifth international.
Yes, I agree.
We need an international of working peoples and peoples against,
I agree.
Against
global
capital. We need it. We are in full agreement on that. But simultaneously, the dissolving the national sovereignty, which is the boundaries of the struggles happen and will continue to happen for a long time still in history within the boundaries of so-called states and nations as they are. If you dissolve that to the benefit of, you cannot dissolve it, but to the benefit of capital in the present circumstances. You have to reinforce it and simultaneously reinforce internationalism of the working classes and peoples. It's not an easy affair. It's not an easy affair. But I think that with all the, it's the only alternative to face the challenge.
I think Mikhail has a comment.
My idea would be that there is no beyond of globalization. We should not present the situation as if some forces could feel themselves attacking this from beyond. There is no such beyond. The problem of globalization was that it was successful, but success was not what was envisioned. We have some kind of middle class in China, forming middle class, and in India. And even if it's 5% of population, it's huge, the amount of they change their eating habits. They eat what in Asia was never eaten. This problem of food. There is so there are some countries that have natural rent, like Venezuela, Russia, and Saudi Arabia. We take these three countries. Venezuela is trying to build some kind of socialism. It's Chavez understanding. Saudi Arabia is the guardian of true Arabic values. And Russia is preaching sovereign democracy. Well, these countries have some apparent freedom because they have this natural rent. Imagine Chavez without oil, imagine Putin without oil, imagine Saudi royal family. What would it be? Well, so, and this freedom does not mean that they preach very different things already. And